Hey folks, Wes here. I'm working on my advanced React. One of the last little components I need to convert over is the update item. So if I go to my local host 7777 and I want to edit one of these items, I need to convert this over to hooks and function components and a couple of other things. And I'm excited about this one because look at this. We've got a query component that exposes the data about the item. And then we've got a mutation component that exposes the update item function. And then finally, we have our form here. So let's get rocking to move this thing over to a function component. So first thing that we want to do is, I already actually switched these over. These are going to be use mutation and use query. And then we need to move this sucker over to a function component. So what is in here? There's a handle change handler, which I'm going to use my use form. I think I have a use form hook that will do that for us. Our state will be in the use form. The updating of the item is a callback function that runs when the form is submitted. So we can, okay, so let's take that sucker out first and just make that an external function. Okay. Then this handle change and the handle state, we don't need that at all. We might need this little bit of logic because we need to save it as a number. Is that in here? Oh yeah, that logic is already in here. So if the type of the input is a number, then parse int before you stick it into state, because GraphQL will complain about us giving a string number. Okay, so that's fine. You can get rid of that. All of the state is in my use form hook as well. Now let's move this over to a function called update item. And that's funny. We have a function called, let's just call that handle update instead, so we don't get confused here. We can get rid of the render method. Okay. Then we return. Now it's telling us, oh, we didn't mark that as a sync. All right, there we go. Now it's valid JavaScript. I can tell that I've no syntax errors when I save it and my prettier kicks in. All right, next thing is we got to get rid of these mutation and query components and move them over to hooks. So this query gives us data and loading. So what we can do is go up here. We'll say const data and loading is equal to use query. And the query, what we want is called single item query. And the variables that we pass are going to be the ID that comes in via props. And that is, I think we have an update. We have a page update. Well, this should actually be called update. And that takes in the query, which then passes the ID of that item because it's going to be coming in from the URL right here. Okay, so we can say our variables is equal to an object with the ID is equal to, and normally we would say this.props.id, but what we can do up here is we can just destructure the ID into the function, and that will do it for that one. So we can get rid of the open and close, and the open and close. Okay, that's one. Next, we want to move this logic of loading and this logic for no item showing. So actually, one thing that changed in Apollo is that data will be null and not an empty object. So now we need to check if there is no data or there's no data item, then say there is no item found. And the loading should take care of that, but just in case. All right, now we got double return here. Get Get rid of one of those. Good. And now we can get anywhere it says this.props.id. We can just simply remove that and make it ID. Okay. Next up, we need to do this mutation up here. So we'll do that up here. And the mutation needs a function called update item and a secondary argument called loading in error. So say const is equal to use mutation. The mutation name is update item mutation. And the variables that need to be passed are in this.state. So this is going to be the actual item. So let's just put a to-do, grab this state from our use form hook. Okay, now another issue we have here is that because previously we were doing nested, now we have loading variable twice. So maybe we'll change that one to updating. And our form here will be disabled if it is updating. Okay, and get rid of this mutation function here. Get rid of that. All right. Okay, so let's deal with this. No item found for ID. I bet there's an item. Let's look here. There's a console log in our user.js. Let's get rid of that. That's in my way. All right, here is GraphQL error message cannot query field on item. Did you mean capital I item or all I? Oh, yes. So part of switching over from Prisma was just converting our queries to Keystone, which is simply just making a capital I on there. Cannot read. Oh, title. I switched that to name. Okay. Now let's just console log that sucker and see if we've got anything. So this is the data right here. Console log data. Oh, there we go. That works. I believe it's because this needs to be capital I item. Where did we do data.item? There we go. Data.item. Okay, anywhere we did data.item should be capital I. And then anywhere we did item.title, which is just here, we need to change that to name. Okay, this is undefined. That's fine. On change. Log, do this. Data.item is undefined. Where is data? Oh, come on now. I, this dot handle change should be do this. Oh my gosh. I thought I had switch those all. So if I turn casing off and I select them all, it's just this one. There we go. All right. Now we got our form at least showing up here. Now I want to switch it over to using our hook. So what we'll do here is how does this work again? Use a form, you pass it your initial state, which will be our item, and then it returns our inputs and a handle change, as well as a reset and a clear form function. We don't need those. Okay. So that's what we'll do here. We'll go up here. We'll say const inputs and handle change is equal to use form. A bunch of people asked previously, like, why did you use an object there and not an array? And that is because this use form exports like 4 things, the inputs and 3 functions on how to update it. And sometimes I just need like 1 or 2 of those functions. So order doesn't matter in this case. So I don't necessarily care. I just want to destructure the things that I want. That's why I'm doing that. So we want to use the form, and the form takes in our data dot item. And with the import use form, import use form from where does use form live? In the lib folder. All right. And I believe we can set the default value. Oh, no, we don't no longer need to do that. Oh, this one's a little bit different, as we only want to send the updated data. Does that matter? I don't think that matters. Let's just change it to value and change the value to be tied to inputs.price. And then the on change of all 3 of these is just going to be the handle change function that we pulled in. All right, does that work? No. Cannot read property item of undefined. Okay. That's because data is going to be loading. But if I move my loading up here before a hook, it's going to yell at me. See, I think this is improper hook usage. Your use form is called conditionally. You must never do that. So we can't do that. Oops, what did I move? Loading needs to move down. So what would be the best way? Can we just set a something like that? Oh. Okay. So I just set an empty object so that we can pass it undefined as its initial state. Now I'm just logging what got changed. So if I change this Yeti Hondo, put an X on the end, I never see that. Oh, I do. Oh, but it's updating to title, not name. Oh, that changing from title to name keeps biting me. Let's find it. Beautiful. Okay. All right, now that is working. Now we need to do the on submit. So we've got this update item function. When somebody submits it, we need to do these things. We need to, 1, stop the form from submitting. 2, we need to update the item in the database. And that's it. Okay. So could probably just do that in an inline function. No. Let's not do that. Let's run that on our form submit. We are going to run that handle update. That will in turn oh no, because then we have to like pass. I need to pass the inputs value. Let's just do it inline, just so we have it. We could make a custom hook, but let's not make this harder than it has to be. So this will be a sync function that gives us our event. We just e.prevent default. And then we want to await the update item mutation, which is called update item. And the variables that we pass is the ID of the item and spread the inputs in. Maybe. Let's try it. All right. So if I put an X on here, save. Whoa. Everything broke. Okay. Network error. Response not successful. Unknown argument name on field update item. Okay. So now I need to go to my admin. I want to see the API. What does the API for updating it look like? So we make a query here. No, it's a mutation called update item that expects an ID of the item and a data object. So is that it? Is that all we need to do? No. Let's do that again. Let's see what the errors we get. Unknown argument name on field type update item type mutation. I thought I fixed that. So what this error is telling me is that it's an unknown argument price on update item mutation, which we know because update item takes two things. It takes an ID and it takes data. And we can see that by going to our schema or the docs of the schema, and we search for update item. And update item takes two inputs, an ID, which has a type of ID, and a data, which is an update item input. So it's a custom type input. And if we look at that update item input, there we go, that then will take a name, a description, a image, a price, and a user if we need that. So why is it telling me, like, aren't we passing the variables properly here? We're passing the ID and the data, which is the inputs. So when we submit that, let's just console.log the inputs to see what that is and see what we're working with here. So what do we got here? We got our description, ID, name, price. Okay. Oh, we don't want to be sending the type name or the ID. I don't think that's the error that we're getting, but let's try that. So the data, let's just say name is equal to inputs.name. And then the price can change and the description can change. All right, let's try that. Same issue. Okay. Unknown argument name on field update item. Oh, I know. It's our update item mutation takes in where the variables will only send it to this, the actual GraphQL mutation. We need to structure the sucker in a little bit differently. So we are accepting the ID, the name, description, and the price, and then we need to hot potato it over by saying the data object is equal to these things. I bet that will do it. And then refresh the page. It's not still there. Okay, that's the other problem. It looks like it's working. See that? It's going way faster than it should because I'm running a local database. Let's see what the result of that is. Oh, that's because we forgot to pass our variables. Oh, we're passing the variables twice. You can either pass the variables when you define the mutation, or you can pass it when you run it. It's way easier to do it when you define the mutation. So let's move that there. I wonder if that will fix it. No. So let's now see what the response is after we submit that sucker. Data. See, there's no X on the end. So if we try to run this manually here, let's go back. So update the item where the ID is equal to that, and the data name is equal to Yeti Hondo X. And then back from that, let's just ask for the name. And we run it. And that worked. Watch, when we refresh this, that will change. Okay. Then why is our mutation here not sticking? So let's go through the process here. So on submit, we run the await update item. We'll check our network. Clear it out. That was our post request. The params. See, we're passing variables where the ID is that, the name, and then the response is the old one. But why? But why? Oh. I bet. I bet this will fix it. Okay. Okay. So the problem is that previously when I was on Prisma, you were just sending the ID and all of the changed fields all in like one top level object. And when I moved to Keystone, you send the ID and then you send a data object with the updated fields. Now, I was sending the variables to the mutation as a data object, but my mutation wasn't expecting it. It was still expecting them to be passed top level like this. So what I did is I changed it back to say I still would like to get them. Should I do that though? No. Maybe we should. Can you do data? Can you do nested ones like that? No, you can't. I don't think you can do that in GraphQL. Okay, so screw that. So we just pass them all those arguments to our update item mutation. And then when we actually send them to the server, we have to change the structure of what it's looking for. So in our case, when we actually send the data from our form to our mutation, we just send it all top level, like something like this, like name, and there's no data sub object. There's only a data sub object when we send it over. So that's it. Cool. So that one's fixed. Last thing I want to do, look at this little Chrome or VS Code extension I got. Prop types generate. It'll generate that prop types, and it will be a prop type of a string, and that is required. And it should have imported it. So we can also update this. We don't need to import React in Next.js. We don't need the router. We don't need the format money. And I believe that is it. Cool. Let me know if you like these or not. And I'll catch you on the next one.